What's good, everybody? Welcome to Timeless Travelers Tutorials. And in today's video, we're going to be going over how to go over a timed Ender Pearl Stasis Chamber. But before we go any further, if you enjoyed videos like this and you want to see more ideas and practical uses with the Ender Pearl Stasis Chamber, I have a few in mind. Just let me know, leave a comment down below, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date when I do release another video about the Ender Pearl Stasis Chamber. And of course, don't forget to check down below in the description for timestamps because there are many things that we are going to be going over in this tutorial. Now let's go ahead and get on with the rest of the showcase. I currently have this set to 10 seconds, and very shortly it's going to teleport me all the way to the top of that tower. So if we just take a moment here, and there we go. We are right at the top of the tower in exactly 10 seconds. But what if you want to kind of take yourself to a secure bunker, either above surface or underground? So if we just activate our stasis chamber real quick, I'm going to just kind of mob on over here. And in about 10 seconds time, we're going to be taken securely into a nice little safe house. There we go. And just like that, in 10 seconds time, we are secure in our little bunker. We got ourselves a nice little storage, some crafting utensils, and shut the door, make sure nobody gets in here because this is supposed to be a safe house. This particular design is just a bit of a decoration as a way to kind of mask the stasis chamber itself, because by itself it kind of stands out. So I created a bit of a tower, and we'll go a little bit into how to apply this chamber to something like a tower in just a moment. But as you can see here, we have the Ender Pearl in stasis, and we have the it runs based off of honey block mechanics and using bubble columns. And the way we activate it is by turning off the bubble column. So here we are back in the bunker, and if we take a look at the machine itself, we saw above ground we have the stasis chamber right there. It's very simple. We have ourselves a honey block and a bubble column. And the way the timer works, if we watch in just a few seconds, it's going to actually retract the soul sand, deactivating the bubble column. And then that is what activates the stasis chamber. It'll drop the Ender Pearl, and then boom, there you go. You'll be teleported to whatever destination you have set up. Now, taking a look at the redstone here, over here, what we have here, I have this little lever. This will actually deactivate the clock. So if we take a look at the hopper, once it reaches 25, which is equivalent to 10 seconds, it will stop because this hopper is currently powered. When it is powered, it will not push items. It will receive them if items are being pushed into it, but the hopper itself will not push into this one. So that's how we can lock it if we do not want to use it. We can flip it back on whenever we are ready to activate it. It runs off of an Etho Hopper Clock, which you cannot see right now. However, we have a little testing area that I have set out for you to take a look at, and we will discuss the Etho Hopper Clock in more detail. So if we take a look at the design, this is actually mostly inspired by a crafter and creator known as Curry Cane. A link to his video will be down below in the description so you can check out his original design. I made just a slight modification to his mechanism, and then I added on to create additional landing options. So the way his was set up, the piston was facing laterally, so it would actually pull the soul sand forward and back. Mine is designed, I've changed the orientation of the piston to make it more vertical for more space going out. And that will also give us a little more room to put in the Etho Hopper Clock, which we'll get into in just a moment. And by default, once you activate it, the pearl is like right here, it will drop down and you'll land right here. So I started to think, okay, what if I want to land further away, or maybe I want to land a little closer? And that's why I played around with something like this. We have some what I call landing points, and you can activate and deactivate them with trap doors as long as they are placed on the perimeter blocks and not the inside blocks. Otherwise, the Ender Pearl will touch them. And we can do the same thing at any Y level that we want, as long as it is not this level, because this is where the ender pearl stays in stasis. But we can literally place it right here if we want to, or right there. And as you'll see in the upcoming demo, we're going to go all the way down to Bedrock. So when it comes to distance, this would be a short range teleporter when we are trying to travel laterally, meaning on the X or Z coordinates. So right now I am exactly 71 blocks away, and you cannot see the ender pearl. Once I move within range at 70 blocks on, if you look at the Z, we're going to go from 959 to 960. And there we go, we can see it. On the Z axis, it is at 1030. So that is exactly 70 blocks in a lateral range that we can go from the stasis chamber. Now, I have not tested this with multiple people. I am just doing this by myself. So for anyone that is wondering if, for example, me as the person using the stasis chamber stays out of range, past that 70 block range distance, and if you have a friend over there that switches it on for you, will you be teleported? I cannot answer that based off of any testing that I have not done. However, I believe that you can, because that pearl is loaded in the world because a player is in fact there. So correct me if I'm wrong, you can use it outside the 70 block range, but someone else has to activate it for you. Now, if you want to use it yourself and have the timer work and no one else interacting to make it possible, then you will have to be within that 60 block range. So vertical distance is going to be significantly further. I have not tested the max limits yet. However, in this demonstration, we're going to go 20 blocks further than we could laterally. So we take a look here. We have the trap door. It's open. That one's open. So both landing points are closed, or open, should I say. Ender pearl is in stasis. We are at level 91 right here. The bedrock that I have, or the hole that I have carved down to bedrock, will be at Y equals 0. So I'm going to flick this lever. It's going to take a few seconds for the deactivated bubble column to carry its way up here. We're going to see the ender pearl drop, and just very soon from now, we will be teleported right here at Y equals 0. So after just a little bit of practice with learning how to throw your ender pearl and align it properly, this will be a very fast way to make it down to a lower Y coordinate, or even a higher Y coordinate should you need. So now that we have a better understanding of the stasis chamber and how that works, let's talk about our timers. So for those that don't know, a hermit known by Etho's lab created the Etho Hopper Clock a while back, and that has been used through so many different users and creators to set up timings, mechanisms for their farms, and all that. We're going to use this same setup to do the timing to activate our stasis chamber. Now, over the years, the Etho Hopper Clock has evolved. It has been more compacted and finessed over time, and we now actually have a way to go beyond two-ish minutes. This will allow us to go on for hours before it actually activates or deactivates the stasis chamber. So using one of these, it would really depend on how long you want the timer to last before you get teleported in. You could say, I'm going to mine for an hour underground nearby, and I want to instantly be teleported into my safe house or into my storage. Once I'm done, you would use this. If you want to, if it's dark out and it's not very safe and you just want to go kill a couple mobs and then immediately be teleported back after like a minute or two, this would be the one for you to use. Now, we also, of course, have the ability to lock the clock, so it does not activate. It won't do anything unless we decide to turn it on. This is an optional feature. I'm going to be showing this in the tutorial as well. But essentially, for those that don't know, there's all sorts of Etho Hopper Clock tutorials out there and stuff, and explanations. But in a nutshell, the items are going to transfer over. In this case, we have 25 items with a transfer rate of 2.5 items per second. It'll take 10 seconds for the items to switch over. Once the items switch over, this signal deactivates, unpowering this block, unpowering this dust, unpowering this piston. This powers, and when this unpowers, it allows this piston to push, which pushes our power source over to here. And depending on whatever side you want to do, you could have your output that way. You could have your output on this side. It does not matter. You can even have your output right here if we slap a torch right on there. This one is just a little bit more complicated and it requires a little bit more math. And I will go into explaining that later on after we finish building the entire setup with this and this. So let's go ahead and get on into how to put all of this together. So having a basic setup is really not that expensive. I'm going to be doing a materials list for this one and not this one, simply because this is the base, the minimum requirements to set up your stasis chamber. If you want to expand, then the resources being used and how much you'll need will be, I'll leave that up to you. So if we take a look here at our materials list, we only need 8 blocks. We need 1 water source, 1 soul sand, 1 sticky piston, 1 lever, and 1 honey block. All right, so let's go ahead and put this together. We're going to start off with a sticky piston and go ahead and put the lever on and turn it on to activate it. That'll give us an idea as to where we need to start placing our solid blocks. So go ahead and bring that up, bring that around, and go up 1 more time, just like that. Okay? Should look like this. You want to place your water right there, and then put a temporary here, and then put your honey block right there. That is it for the stasis chamber. Now, if you want to go ahead and put your ender pearl here, the way we set this up is you want to crouch and then go all the way back, as far back as you can, making sure that we are not along the sides. We want to be right there in the corner. Go ahead and throw it. And a way to kind of visually tell is if you kind of look at the sides of these 2 blocks, you'll see that it cuts this ender pearl into about 1/4 of ender pearl that is sticking out in comparison to being inside these other 3 blocks. So if you have about 1/4 of ender pearl out, then you know you've done it right. If you have any less than this sticking out of the side, you're going to want to hit yourself with the pearl like that and do it over again, because you could end up inside the bubble column, which isn't going to break or anything. It's not going to kill you, but it will get kind of annoying to have to break yourself out. And then if you have any sort of circuitry around or crops, water might spill out, and it's going to be messy. So just make sure that you have a good 1/4 space sticking out. And then the next one we're going to put together is going to be the Etho Hopper Clock. Again, resources are fairly cheap. We have 6 redstone, 2 sticky piston, 2 hoppers, 2 comparators, 2 redstone repeaters, and 2 blocks or 1 block of redstone. And then this is just junk items to set your timer. So we'll take a little bit of that for like 10-second timer. Take about 25 items for now, and we will put this together. And now let's build the Etho Hopper Clock. So go ahead and get out a temporary block. Go ahead and place it right there. And what I'm doing right here, as far as alignment goes, I'm lining up my hopper with that piston. And you'll see why in just a moment. If you were doing this tutorial, go ahead and do something similar to that, just to get an idea. And I'm going to break the temporary block and put our hopper right here, so they're both going into each other like this. Then we want to get our comparator and solid block with a touch of redstone. Place down your sticky piston, and we can put a redstone block right here. Okay, this should be right in line with that. And then we're going to repeat this and put it on the other side. So put your comparator, your solid block, your dust, and your sticky piston. Now keep in mind, I'm putting the piston and redstone block on the left side, and that is because that is the side that the stasis chamber is on. If this were over here on the right side, I would put this whole line right over on this side. Okay, makes sense? Now what we want to do, go ahead and we're going to keep this off for now. So put down a lever, and that should keep it powered. And then we want to put our 25 junk items in, or however many you want. 25 items will give you 10 seconds. And as you can see, the hopper is powered and our junk items are not moving. They're all still there. So what we can do here is I actually got rid of the lever, so this is deactivated, and we're going to just connect this up, and now it is staying active with our Hopper clock. So once we turn it on, in 10 seconds time, it's going to switch over and it will deactivate this, and then it'll have the same effect that you saw when we were over there during the demonstration. There we go. And then in another 10 seconds, it will turn back on. So in this case, after you teleport and you get yourself back here, then of course you're going to want to just flick this switch. The items will transfer over depending on what side they're in at the time. Go ahead and let them finish their cycle, or just manually just take them out and place them back into the locked hopper. And that will be the combination of your stasis chamber and the Etho Hopper Clock. So you have a timed stasis chamber perfectly set up. For those wondering how to do the correct amount of items for the timing of your Hopper Clock, whether it be this one over here or this one over here, there is a link down in the description that will take you to a site that will do the Hopper Clock calculator. It will tell you, you input how long you want your clock to last before it switches everything, and it will tell you exactly how many items to put in this setup if you're using the basic Hopper Clock. And then it will also tell you how many items to put in this setup and this setup if you are using the anything more than 2 minutes. One very, very important thing that I need to mention, and y'all need to remember, if you are using the link provided below for your Hopper Clock timings, that website, I don't know who put it together. While it does technically work, it was created at a time when the transfer rate of items in hoppers was significantly faster than it is now. Therefore, that means if you use the website, the amount of time you want to set your clock to and the items that it tells you you will need are not going to be correct in the current version of Minecraft. So let me say, for an example, if you are using the long-term timer, which would be this one, and you want to run it for 1 hour before the stasis chamber activates. If you go into that website and you put 1 hour in the settings, it will tell you to put 4 stacks and 45 items in this section, or 301. And then it will tell you to put 8 items in this section. So that is actually going to give you about 30 minutes, okay? For some reason, it is roughly cut in half. So if you want to do 1 hour using this system, you're going to want to plug in 2 hours in your settings. And in that situation, it will tell you 4 stacks plus 17, or 273, and then 17 items here. So just keep that in mind. However long you want it to go, just make sure that you input or you plug in double the amount of time that you actually want. If you want 10 minutes, plug in 20. If you want 30 minutes, plug in 60. If you want 5 hours, plug in 10 hours. So when it comes to some troubleshooting issues, one thing that you want to remember, so I decorated this to kind of hide everything. So all the circuitry is hidden. However you do it is up to you. If you do something like this and where you drop down into a bunker, I would recommend like some sort of ladder, and that way you can kind of turn off and on your system. You can change your timing and settings like that. And when it comes to actually putting the ender pearl in, we have it completely covered because I just think that the honey block should be covered in most cases, because it technically counts as a, like redstone circuitry and all those different mechanism components and stuff. So I just want to hide it to make it look a little nicer. So with these stairs here, or with any block here, physically aligning yourself will be more challenging. So if we get rid of these here, you can see that I can comfortably go right down into the exact corner of that honey block without any issues. If we put the stairs in here, you'll see that getting into that corner is a little bit more challenging because I now have a wider range of travel due to these blocks being here. So if you need to practice, you can, it's all right. You could just start without those blocks there. And that way you can kind of get the feel for it. You want to look all the way down, right in the corner, line your crosshairs up with that crease line. And then you should get it perfectly every time. And you should get it perfectly every time. There we go. And as you get more comfortable, you can go ahead and try the same thing with the stairs. It will be a little bit more trickier, but just remember to align everything. And you may mess up a couple times. I still do, even when I'm testing and practicing things out. But eventually, you will get it right there. And just remember what I mentioned about having a quarter space sticking out, and that way you'll know that you will not end up inside here. And as you can see, we have two set up. So this will open up the possibility for all sorts of crazy ideas and games and multiplayer, as you could have 4 people set up here, and you could actually wall this off, going off into 4 separate sections, doing some sort of like Hunger game or maze game or whatever. There's all different ideas and possibilities that you can do with a setup like this. And that's going to be all the time that we have for today, everyone. Thank you all again so much for watching. My name is Timeless Traveler, and this was Timeless Traveler's Tutorials. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you got something out of it and learned something new about Ender Pearl Stasis Chambers and Etho Hopper Clocks. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Slap the notification bell so you can stay up to date on all future content. And if you want to see more videos like the Ender Pearl Stasis Chamber, maybe like the emergency button Among Us version setup, go ahead and let me know, and I will see what I can do and put together some sort of mechanism that is more related to Among Us. So thank you all again for watching, and until next time, I will see you all in the next video.